What's going on, everyone? Hello, hello, and welcome. And how you doing? Phil here. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ask the King. Things look a little different around here. There's good reason. All right? Let's address the elephant in the room. All right? Alduin is behind me. Wow, what a change. Okay, obviously it's not what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Q&A show, Ask the King. All right? We have a lot to talk about on today's Ask the King. Today is April 21st, 2022. This is the first time I'm doing the show in the entire year. All right? And a lot of things have changed since the last time I did Ask the King. This is episode 90. 90. I've done this 90 times over the course of over a decade. Ask the King is the show where you guys ask me the burning questions, and I answer them here live for you on stream and on demand on YouTube. Now, let's address all the things that have changed since the last time I did the show. The last time Ask the King happened was Christmas week, 2021. Back then, it was a different world, man. Really. I mean, so much has changed. Actually, not much has changed since then. Number one, I used to do Ask the King regularly on my vlogging channel. I don't use my vlogging channel anymore. I retired it because basically it wasn't really pertinent anymore. I wasn't actively using it outside of Ask the King. It was just kind of sitting there unused. And I did a big rebranding this year. Okay? So this big rebranding included the retirement of my old moniker, the King of Hate. I am no longer known by that. I don't use it anymore. It's not pertinent to who I am today as a content creator and a person. Too many people, sadly, used that old moniker and misconstrued it purposely to say that it meant things that it didn't mean. And after many, many years of being misunderstood by mainstream audiences because people were assholes and just were lying about it, I retired it this year. When I retired it, I said, well, it makes sense to retire the vlogging channel that's called the King of Hate Vlogs because I'm not the King of Hate anymore. Okay? And so, everything was retired. Now, all my content can now be found right here on the DSPGaming channel on YouTube. This is the channel that's the longest running channel that I have on YouTube for active use. I still actively upload it to every single day. All right? But, obviously, with the changing of everything, okay, some things get kind of mixed up, misconstrued, shuffled around. Number one, you might say, why didn't Phil do an episode of his Q&A show, Ask the King, since Christmas? Well, this was one of the busiest gaming years ever in the first few months. Within a few weeks' time in February, which would have been around the time when I would have done the episode of Ask the King, we had the release of the following games: Pokemon Legends Arceus, Sifu, Dying Light 2, Horizon Forbidden West, and Elden Ring. So many games came out in a month's time, I had to skip tons of other games over the month of February and March that I haven't even gotten to yet because I'm still playing some of these games. Okay? Excuse me. So we're in a situation where it made absolutely no sense to be doing a Q&A show that would take away from my gaming schedule when I was already backlogged on that said gaming schedule. Okay? So, that's why there have not been an Ask the King in a very, very long time. It's coming back today because I finally feel like I'm at a point where I've caught up enough that I can take time away from the schedule to do the show again. Now, does this mean that this show will now regularly be every other month like it used to be? Well, yes and no. I'd like to do that, but immediately after I scheduled this show, I took a look at 2 months later, and at the end of June 2022, we have an exorbitant amount of games coming out again. Within 1 week, there's like 4 games I'm interested in. So here we go again. So likely what will happen is this show will be tentatively scheduled for early July 2022. Let's play it by ear and see what happens, and when it makes sense, when there's time to do it, we'll do it again. The truth of the matter is there's not that big of a concern doing Ask the King when there's time because it's not a show that's super duper in demand these days. I answer your questions every single day on all of my streams, right? I'm an interactive streamer now. And that means that every day there's opportunity for you guys to tag me, to ask me questions, and for me to answer live. Now, admittedly, the answers that I give you during, say, a live gameplay stream are quite different than the very dedicated answers that I'm going to give people today. Today we have a wide range of people in different places asking questions. We got members of my channel paid memberships, they get priority. A lot of them are getting their questions answered today. We got people who posted up on my forums on DSPGaming.com. We actually have one patron who pledged to my Patreon and deserved to have their question answered. They're going to get that answered today. And we have, no exaggeration, one Twitter question. What I've noticed is, since last year, I shut down my Twitter to get public replies. Why? Because the vast majority of people who responded to my Twitter were very toxic, negative scumbags. They were literally just trying to insult me and troll me publicly, and if people would laugh about it, yeah, I don't play that fucking game anymore. I'm 40 years old. I don't put up with the bullshit. So I made it so that only people who I follow on Twitter can respond to my tweets. Since I've done that, I've not lost Twitter followers. My Twitter followers have actually gone up, but I don't get to hate anymore. But the other flip side of that is, no one really knows they can respond to my tweets. So when I do, oh, hey, respond to me on Twitter, ask your question for the show, it doesn't show up. So, the good news is, I still have more than enough questions for the show. But it looks like as a result of that happening on Twitter, we're not going to get many Twitter questions anymore moving forward. Okay? So, the way we're going to do the show today, we're going to do members questions, forum questions, the patrons only question, then we're going to do the Twitter question. So, that's the order, all right? Now, we have time. I will also take questions from the live audience. We have 3 hours for the show. Of course, I'm going to take a few quick breaks in between, all right? And we'll see how it goes. We may have a lot of time at the end of the show for live questions here from my audience on stream. Now, a couple other things to address. Number one, as you know, when I usually stream, we have tiered rewards in place. If we raise $50 in tips, I put on a pair of Gunner glasses, and that will still happen today. But usually when I raise $100 in tips on a stream, I'll put on a hat. Oops. On Ask the King, I already wear a hat. This is my tradition that I wear my cowboy hat that I bought in Tennessee over a decade ago, right? So what are we going to do? If we raise $100 today, I'm going to put on a vest instead. We're going to do a live poll in the chat, and people in the chat will be able to vote on a vest, okay? If we happen to raise the full tips goal today of $150, which would be great if we did, it would definitely help me out, you have an option. You can either vote for a different hat, and I'll do a hat swap, or you could also vote for a different vest or maybe even a football jersey, and I'll do a swap there, all right? So we'll see what happens. Are we going to hit $150 in tips today? I don't know. Again, it would be great if we did. The support would be outstanding, but I don't know if we're going to get there, okay? Fair enough. Now, one final thing, okay? The name of the show is Ask the King, but I got rid of my old moniker. So what am I the king of? Am I the king of gaming? Am I the king of content creation? Am I the king of streaming? Am I the king of YouTube? All right? Ladies and gentlemen, I really don't care. You can call me the king of balls. I really don't give a shit. All right? To me, I've been called the king since I started on YouTube. It's been a thing, a running thing, okay? So you can call me whatever the hell you want. I really don't give a shit. King of ass, all right? But I'm not going to change the name of the show that's been running for a decade. That's ridiculous. This show's been running, I think I started it in like 2010. I'm not going to be changing the name of the show. That wouldn't make any sense at all. This is episode 90 of an ongoing show. It will keep going on. The legacy will continue, all right? And I'm not changing it. But you can call me whatever you want, all right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm the old moniker anymore, because I'm not, all right? I've definitely gotten out of that. You're not going to find that on any of my active content. Fair enough? All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. Let's actually start answering questions, which is the whole point of this show. If you didn't know, I'm here to answer your questions. I'm not here just to dick around. Okay? Fair enough? Okay. Here we go. We begin today with a question that actually is a common question. I'm not kidding. 3 different people asked me the question. But this is a question that gets asked all the time. I guess people just like hearing me answer it. So I'm going to go ahead and answer it. In particular, the first person who asked me the question was Delancius, but there was a couple other people who asked me variations of the same exact question. Okay? Let's begin. What do you do to keep a positive mindset, especially with the negativity and trolling that has been thrown your way. I meditate to let the negativity slide off of me, but I cannot imagine how I would cope if I got the same amount of shit as you have. Alright, so I got some variations of that question. I actually had someone who asked specifically about, I guess there was a Korean streamer who was got so much hatred on the internet and also from her family for being a content creator that she committed suicide, all right? Which is obviously an incredibly extreme case and a very unfortunate one, all right? What I think a lot of people don't realize, all right, is that there's different kinds of abuse that people can be a victim of in life, okay? Physical abuse is a kind of abuse that's very, very visible and very easy to see when it happens, right? If someone's getting beat up, if someone's getting slapped around, you can usually see when someone's being physically abused, all right? And it's hard for people to hide things like physical abuse because you'll look like you're beat up. You know what I'm saying? You have a broken arm, your face is a black eye, you're bleeding. So physical abuse, usually you can get called out right away, all right? But when it comes to other kinds of abuse, mental abuse in the modern day, I hate to say it, I feel is way worse in a lot of cases because of the internet. What the internet has done is created a venue by which anyone can mentally abuse someone else on this planet and get away with it scot-free for the most part. There's a couple times when people are shitheads to others and they get called out, but when you're an anonymous person on the internet, right, it's very hard to be held accountable for your actions, okay? And what has happened is that there have been giant groups of people over the years who have formulated and congregated and become this mass of hate on the internet that gets targeted and aimed towards certain people, certain individuals for various reasons, some deserving, some not, some maybe half and half. Maybe some people deserved it at one point and don't deserve it anymore. I don't know. That's for you guys to judge, all right? But when it comes down to it, all right, all I can really speak to is my own personal experience. And what I can tell you is, over the years, I've been definitely the target of the ire of thousands upon thousands of very toxic, negative people on the internet for various different reasons. And the funny part is, if you ask someone the reason why they don't like me in the modern day, you'll get 400 different answers, some of which make perfect sense and some make absolutely no sense at all. But they still all congregate together to form these hate mobs and do nasty things, all right? There's entire people who have entire businesses. I'm not exaggerating. They have an entire business based off of crapping on me and or other content creators, and they get away with it. Because right now, unless you have a lawyer and a lot of money, a lot of time to waste, there's really no defense against it. The internet just allows this kind of abuse to happen, all right? Now, excuse me. In regards to this, okay, does it hurt me? Yeah, it absolutely does. First of all, I have a business to operate. This right here, what I'm doing, is my job, okay? And if people decide one day collectively that they don't like me or my content anymore because of the shit that other people say about me, not because of what I do here on stream, because I'll own everything that I do on a stream or in a video. If you haven't noticed, in the 14 years that I've now been a content creator, do I hide the things that I did in the past? Do I act like, oh, that never happened and lie about it and say that wasn't me? I own up to my mistakes. I own up to the dumb shit that I've done in the past, okay? And I openly admit that I am embarrassed by some of the shit that I've done in the past, the content that I've put out, the crap that I've said and did over the years, okay? I'll admit to that. There's reasons why in the past people don't like me, okay? I'm not perfect. I'm definitely a flawed individual. And I make mistakes all the time just like everybody else, okay? But the general consensus that I hear in the modern era, all right, the last 4 or 5 years that I've been a full-time streamer, is that people don't dislike me because of what happens here. If you just sit here on a stream and you chill with me and you have a good time, or you watch my gaming content on demand or whatever it may be, it's not this that's the problem. It's everything outside of this that I have absolutely no control over whatsoever. Sometimes things in my personal life seep into the public eye and there's nothing I can do about that. I can't control that. All right? But I do my best to not have this stream be something that's focused on the negativity, the drama, the hate, and all that shit. I know it's out there. I'm well aware it's out there. People, oh, trust me. Every day people try to come on this stream and derail the stream with it. They do. Okay? But man, if I spent my entire day listening to every piece of negative shit said about me on the internet, number one, I'd probably lose my mind. I'd probably be in a padded cell right now. All right? Because there's only a limit to what a human mind can take. There's a certain amount of abuse that someone can take. But you can only take so much before it starts to get to you. Even if you know it's not true and or the shit is a very corrupted version of the truth, right? Taking a little piece, a nugget of truth, and spitting it into something so overly, disgustingly nasty that's not real, but they propagate it like it's real. Oh, that's real. Now spread the word that it's real when it's not. Okay? You know, it gets to you. And then when people actually believe it, and that's what really gets me. There's people out there that believe stuff. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm not kidding, and some of you might say, what? You're serious? I'm serious. There's thousands of people on the internet right now who actively believe that I have rage quit a ridiculous amount of video games in my 14-year tenure as a content creator. That they'll actually say things such as, well, he just rage quit yet another one. Add that to the pile of hundreds of rage quit games. This guy is a joke as a content creator. All right? The actual reality is that it's the opposite. In the 14 years I've been a content creator, I've done more full playthroughs of games than likely anyone else on the fucking internet. I almost never quit a game. I was the guy who dedicated himself to completing games, right? And especially in the modern day. In the modern day, right? Most games that I play, I do play to completion, okay? It's ridiculous when you get a one-off situation. When I decide, man, I just don't want to finish it for whatever reason, and I make that active decision to stop playing it, and oh, it's another rage quit. Yeah, another? Okay, in the last year, how many games did I rage quit? You could argue that maybe Kirby is a game that I rage quit. Even though I did all the content in the game, I was at the final secret boss that's not part of the story. It's just an added challenge. And I said, this is stupid and difficult. And it's annoying. It's not fun anymore. It's pissing me off. I don't want to play it anymore. Okay? Got angry. I turned the game off. You could argue that's a rage quit. All right, I'll give you that much. Fine. Okay. Divinity Original Sin 2. There's no rage quit. We all collectively agreed after 60 hours of gameplay, the game was boring for my streams and content, and no one wanted to see anymore, including me. So why am I going to torture my audience and myself? I said, all right, guys, after 60 hours, this isn't working. Only playing it 4 hours a week. It's not enough. Let's move on to other stuff. And we collectively agreed it was the best thing to do. Where is the rage quit? But the thing is, people are so dumb that they convince themselves that these things are true. They'll even bend the definition of what they're saying. Like, what is a rage quit? And just listen to the word, rage quit. You get angry, you quit playing. That's a rage quit, right? If there's no rage and no permanent quitting of the game, there was no rage quit. So how can you even argue it's a rage quit? Oh, well, no, it means this. No, it doesn't. Read the fucking word, you idiot. You'll get to change the facts of a word of what it means to try to say something slanderous or defamatory against someone. But this is what I deal with on a daily basis. Okay? On a daily basis. Whatever people want to say about me negatively, okay? They will say it, and they don't have to actually justify it factually. They just say, haha, it's the next running meme. Fills this, fills that, fills this, fills that. And they think it's funny. It's the mindset of an immature child on a schoolyard teasing and pointing at someone. Ha ha, Billy's this, ha 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 ha. And the fact is, these people are so dumb, they don't look at themselves to realize how dumb they are, right? Because there's so many of them. There's so many of these brainless fucking idiots on the internet that they all congregate together and become these giant circle-jerking groups of toxic idiots who justify what they say with absolutely nothing. Just, there's so much of us that say it, it must be true. Okay? Now, this has happened so many times to me over the years that it just doesn't matter to me anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a time in history when I was like, you know what? I absolutely had to try to feel like I had to defend myself, right? I felt like, man, if I don't defend myself from these mobs of idiots, right? That now it seems like I'm just agreeing with them, that what they say is true. Because I have no defense against it. That's why I won't stick up for myself. But over the years, every time that I tried to stick up for myself, what would happen is it's called moving the goalpost. Okay? So they say one dumb thing. Oh, you rage quit that. Well, let me factually prove how I didn't. Okay? So I factually prove, oh, well, actually, no, I meant this. What? So now we go, oh, wait, forget rage quit. You did this instead. Wait, what? And this is what happens. When you get shown the serious situation of oh, here's the actual factual basis and how you're wrong. What are you talking about? Why are you spreading this misinformation? On to the next, on to the next. And these people, what you come to realize, ultimately, is that when you have a hate mob like this, okay, this is not actually based on logic, and it's not based on fact, it's based on emotion. These people get an emotion, a positive emotion, out of hating on someone. And they actually find other people of like mindset. Now it becomes almost an addiction to them. What's the next negative meme? What's the next fucked up thing that we can say or do? Even if it's not factually right, we'll convince ourselves in our heads it is, so that we can have that feeling again. What is that? What's the name of that chemical that happens, that releases in your head and you feel, oh, you're part of something positive again, right? And that's what it is. They just continue on with this over and over and over. All right? It's endless at this point. So, what's the point of me caring about it and or addressing any of it when every time that I do, it's just something else next anyway, right? So what I've done is I've basically done my best to say, I'm not going to care about this shit anymore. I'm just not. I'm going to shut it down and say, number one, we're not going to discuss that dumb shit on my stream unless I so choose to address it like I just did for a moment. That's fine. But we're not going to derail a stream that has nothing to do with the toxic dumb shit these idiots are saying when we can do positive content. We could be playing a game. I could be answering a question, having a good interaction with you guys, having some social back and forth. We're having a good time together. We're chilling. That's what it's all about, having a chill time on a stream and enjoying yourself, right? Not about some idiots who get some euphoric feeling when they bring someone down with something new, toxic, and insulting. And that's not who I am. That's never who I've been, except when I was very young. When I was very young, I was in that mindset. My early days in the Street Fighter community, I was like trolling people and acting like an asshole. And now I look back at it as a 40-year-old and I say, man, I'm so regret those things I did. I feel really bad about it. And, you know, it'd be fucked up to think about how maybe I actually mentally, my actions caused mental abuse to others. And I didn't realize that at the time because I was so young and immature. And now I fully regret it. And I wish that I could go back and change it, but you can't. What's the past is the past, right? All you can do is own up to the things you've done in the past and say, I'm not going to do them in the future. I'm going to be a better person. And I try to do that, okay? Now, in regards to how do I keep a positive mindset with all that shit going on around me? Is it meditation? No. No. I don't sit here and meditate. Yes, I go, no, I don't do that. I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying I don't do that. The good news about it is that I have what's now called a work-life balance. And I didn't used to have that, okay? Seriously. I didn't used to have a work-life balance. My entire life was content creation. And so, when toxicity ended up getting thrown my way, it was hard to separate myself from that shit because that was my whole life. Now, I actually have a work-life balance, meaning what's here is here, and when I'm done with what's in this room, and the stream is off, and the videos are uploaded, I walk out of this room and I have a life, okay? With a family, with other things going on, that's nothing to fucking do with this. And that's really good, okay? When you have that separation, and you can walk out of the drama, and you can walk out of the stress, that is the best fucking feeling. It is. All right? Yes, I still have to approve some comments on my videos during the day, and for the most part, I enjoy doing that. I like reading your comments during the day and seeing feedback that I get on videos and all kinds of fun stuff in that regard. It's awesome, actually. Okay? Yes, I read Twitter from time to time, mostly for game news and things like that. But because I have the separation, all right? I have a whole life outside of this shit. So if there's a day when everything's drama on the internet, I don't have to deal with that shit. I say, fuck that. I put out my content for the day. We had a good time on my stream. Turn that shit off and walk away. There's people right now who are like, Phil hasn't addressed the drama about the Kirby Rage Quit. What drama about the Kirby Rage Quit? It's fucking Kirby. Who gives a fuck? Seriously. Who gives a shit about Kirby and the Forgotten Land? It's a silly game. It's meant for kids. It has extra challenge. That's post-game challenge. It's very challenging. It made me rage. Yes, you can argue it's a rage quit. Who cares? Move on to the next thing. That's, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing there. But these idiots actually focus so hard on it because, again, this is what they do. They got their euphoric feeling. Saying something negative about me for a few days, it didn't affect me in the least. I don't pay attention to it. I was back the next day putting out content. I didn't care. We didn't put up with the shit on my streams. We move on. Who cares? And that's the mentality that I have now, you know? None of it matters. Anything they say or do about me does not matter anymore. What sucks is when you have newcomers who are maybe interested in my content and they skip it or don't give it a chance because of that shit. That white noise nonsense outside of me that I can't control. It sucks when I lose opportunities. I lose them all the time. You know, at one point, people wanted to have me as a sponsorship opportunities and things. At one point, people wanted to do collabs with me and things like that. And now it doesn't happen anymore because of those idiots. And they never go away. And there's nothing I can do to get rid of that because I'm not making it. I'm not you know what I mean? Literally, if I fart on a stream, that becomes drama for them for 2 days. Anyone else can fart and it's fine. But if Darkside Phil farts, it's like, oh man, did you hear Darkside Phil polluted the planet when he farted? Did you hear that the methane gas ratio of the environment went up? So now we got to talk about the environmental impact of Darkside Phil farting on a stream, man. It's bad. And it becomes an expose for 2 days on the internet. Something stupid that everyone else is. Who cares if anyone is playing Kirby and rage quits it? I don't care. That was a fun little chill playthrough that I did at night. It filled a need. And I move on to tons of other content. The fact that it changed from being a chill playthrough to something frustrating kind of undermined the point I was playing it for, and that's why I said, fuck this, I'm not going to bother with it anymore. I don't care. It's no big deal. These idiots outside who say it's a big deal, they don't matter. They're no ones. There'll always be no ones. I don't care about what they say. I'm just going to have fun on my streams like I always do. You understand? So how do I keep the positive mindset? It's this simple. I'm still here after 14 years. I still have fans who love what I do, right? And support who I am as a person and a content creator. And as long as that keeps going, why the hell do I care about everything else? I don't. The positive mindset I have is when every day I come here and someone says to me, Phil, what you did today put a smile on my face. What you did today had meaning to me. I really love the conversation we had. I love the gameplay you did today. You know, that's what I love. That's all I care about. I don't give two fucks about what they're saying. Why would I ever care about what they have to say? They're no ones to me. They're dead to me. They're just fucking no-life idiots who feel like they get euphoric when they hate on someone. That's the worst mindset to have in life, and I'm never going to care about that ever again, really. You know, and it sucks because it can be harmful. I run a business. It can be harmful to the business when they do shit like that. But I realize that fighting against it is completely worthless. It doesn't do anyone any good, and the goalpost gets moved, and all it does is stops me from making more positive content. So I'm not going to deal with it. Just say, fuck them. Just keep going, man. Okay? So, that's how I stay positive. I just don't let the other shit derail me. I just stay the course, and I have a good time with the stuff that I do here on the stream. And I appreciate every one of you who comes and enjoys what I do and doesn't make a big fucking production out of every tiny little thing that makes no sense. Okay? Thank you for that. All right. All of a sudden, we got a bunch of shout-outs to do. So, number one, Only Use Me Blade tipped me $1.50. Says, did you shop Project 7 to writers, like on Netflix or Disney? Yes. And I did at one point have a multi-million-dollar deal. But it all fell through. Goddamn COVID. Lore Spade has tipped $10 and says, I like your words. Please keep up the good work. Thank you, Lore Spade. I appreciate that. That gets us up to $32 in tips. Then, Rusty Edwards did a $3 tip. So the trolls want your life, but they can't get views unless they put your name in the title, so keep winning. I wouldn't even know because I don't watch their shit, but thank you for the support. And Lore Spade now, wow, did a $30 tip. Thank you, Lore Spade, for a $30 tip. Very generous. And that tip in particular will jump us to our first tiered reward for today, the Gunner Glasses. Now, keep in mind, I said this earlier on. If we do hit 100 today, it's going to be a vest. We're going to do the vest first. Since I'm already wearing a hat, it would only make sense to have the vest instead. Okay? Thank you so very much, Lorespay. Okay. All right, next question is from Chim Charlton, who says, hey, DSP, what would you consider key contributing factors to your longevity and success on YouTube? What would you tell other aspiring content creators as advice in today's creating platform? Do you want to know the truth? I feel like the reason I have longevity is because I have longevity. I've been around so long, and I was one of the people who started with the, how do I put it? The improv style commentary, reacting directly to what happens in a game, not pre-produced content, not highly edited content, but instead full-on gameplay, reacting to said gameplay in an honest manner, right? Like, I was one of the people who started making that popular on YouTube. I didn't start the practice. I was one of the people who made it popular with the things that I said and the ways that I went about myself. People found me funny. People found me silly. People thought that I was an over-the-top character, and I got popular doing it, okay? Now, because I've been around for so long, people know who I am. People like my content for various different reasons. Some people just want to laugh. Some people actually trust my judgments when it comes to games and know that I do things a lot differently than other content creators. I don't accept paid sponsorships. I don't expect paid kissing butt of a game. You know what I'm saying? You watch me play a game, I'm going to be honest about it. And a lot of people really like that and appreciate that. Some people are here for the drama. They like to make drama every day. And so, yes, there's an element to that as well. If there wasn't these drama queens on the internet constantly trying to slander me, likely there would be less people who know about me as well. So it all goes hand in hand. But the truth of the matter is, I am a unique case. I am the exception to the rule, okay? There are not a lot of me left. There's not a lot of people who've been doing this for 14 years, who are sticking with it, who are making a living doing it, who are keeping up with everything, you know? A lot of people, most of the people, honestly, who were doing it back then don't do it anymore or have completely changed who they are, right? Take a look at, and I'm going to actually say this in a positive way. Review Tech USA. Here's a guy who also for a very long time has been a YouTuber. When he started as a YouTuber, he reviewed technology. That's what he was there for. It's his name, Review Tech. Now, he literally sits there talking about news, current events, drama shit. That's how he makes a living on YouTube. I'm one of the very few people who stayed true to who he was and what he wanted to do. All I wanted to do since day one was sit down, turn on a camera, and chill with a video game and share that experience with all of you. Now, the method that I do that has changed. Now, it's a direct feed, it's live broadcast over the internet, and there's conversation with you guys directly every time I do it, but it still remains that every day, what do? I turn on a camera, I record what I'm doing, I share that with the internet, and I chill with a video game. Right? That hasn't changed as much. Okay? So, that being said, I'm the exception. Most people today can't just be me and be successful. Almost no one. Okay? The longevity factor, the drama factor, the fact that I have long-time dedicated fans who've loved what I've done for a decade and want me to continue doing it. The reason I still do Ask the King is because I have long-time fans who want to see me keep doing this show. They directly tell me they would be very upset if I stopped because this is my legacy show. This is the show that's been running for over a decade. They want to see this continue. Even though every day I answer your questions live on stream, they like having the dedicated show. You see? So, all that being said, I don't know what kind of actual advice I could actually lend to a modern content creator. Because I don't follow any of the norms that anyone ever follows today to be successful, right? I'm not constantly talking about current events and drama events. I'm not putting thumbnails with my silly face all over every single thing that I do on YouTube. I'm not doing clickbait. I'm not doing all the trends, you know. Just this weekend on Saturday, I'm trying something different. I'm reacting to a video that people have wanted me to react to, a person who they talk about on my streams constantly, right? It's the first time I'm actually even trying something like this. It may work, it may not, you see? But I'm the exception. Most people had to do that shit to even possibly get any kind of attention on YouTube, because YouTube's algorithm pushes that samey kind of content to the forefront. Okay? So yeah, Chim Charlton, I really wish that, like, I could say, oh, well, in my years of experience, here's what I found about getting popular on YouTube. I can't, because I'm the exception. I really am. And keep in mind, over the years, I went from YouTube to Twitch to YouTube to Twitch. I kind of jumped back and forth and changed my attitude and my focus a bit. So I don't really have that formula for success. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Well, I Leviathan Titan tipped $1.50 and says, take my money, yeah, my money, take it, Phil. Well, I mean, I can't not. You already tipped. Not like I have a choice in the matter. I have it now. So thank you for the tip. Next question is from Low Carb Madman. It says, as a current collector, I recall some of yesterday's streams where you mentioned statues and collector's editions that you used to buy. I was curious what was one thing you bought into and you were disappointed by it. Secondly, if you don't feel up to answering that first half, what was one thing that impressed you the most? Okay. At first, when I first started buying the collector's editions of games, a lot of them had some really neat things that I thought added to the game. Like if you get something that's like a collectible, that's something from the game. Like I was mentioning, Fallout New Vegas Collector's Edition, I really liked it because not only did you get the game and this nice packaging, came in this big box, but in the box were all these things pertinent to the game. The actual casino chip, that's a critical part of the game. A deck of cards, and each character in the game is one of the cards, which is kind of neat, right? Like those things that add to the lore or whatever, all right? 2 thumbs up for those, all right? But that being said, there were some things that were absolutely ridiculously, stupidly bad. Oh, you're going to get a statue with the game. And then you get the collector's edition, you open it, the statue is only this tall, it's made of flimsy plastic, and it's broken. And that happened a lot. What happened was they found out that these collector's editions were actually quite profitable because they could sell you like a figurine that takes $5 to make, and they could sell you the collector's edition for like $80 more than the cost of the game, and you just got ripped off. Okay? And that would happen a lot, actually. It was happening more and more over the course that I was buying those collector's editions. Now, you might say, Phil, can you name some direct ones? Off the top of my head, I mean, you're talking about stuff I used to do 10 years ago, and I probably did 100 of them. No, not off the top of my head can I directly pull one out of my butt and say, oh, here's an example. What I would say is if you go watch the old release day unboxing videos, you will likely see quite a few of the collector's editions that aren't very good. Man, I remember the, it was a Splinter Cell game I bought, and it came with like a fucking RC plane or something. And I was like, what the hell does that have to do with the game? It's fucking Splinter Cell. You sneak around doing covert operations. Why is there a plane? Like, it has nothing to do with the gameplay. Maybe there's a plane in the game, but who the fuck wants a flying plane and pay like $100 extra for it? It didn't even make any sense what was included in that, you know? Or the Call of Duty, remember, was it the original Black Ops? It came with the RC car with the fake C4 strapped to it. Great, an RC car. But why do I want that with Call of Duty? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it was like, oh, we're going to toss in things to exorbitantly inflate the price, and then there's really no value added, you know? Now, if you want to talk about, like I said, some of the best ones, definitely, like, I actually thought this statue was pretty neat, and the Skyrim Collector's Edition came with an art, I think it was an art book, and some supplementary materials. Didn't it come with a map? I think it did, didn't it? I think it came with a map and this, right? It was pretty nice, the stuff that came with, for having all of that stuff with it. I'm trying to remember specifically if there was any other ones that like stand way out, but now really, you know, like if anything, what I saw, and it was about a 3 to 4 year period, right? I would probably say when I started doing this full time, so 2011 through like maybe 2014, like maybe 3-4 years where I was buying collector's editions on the regular, and all those unboxings I did, I couldn't concretely tell you, wow, I really remember this one time when I was blown away by the collector's edition stuff that came with the game. Usually it was just some nice supplementary stuff. Sometimes you get a little comic book or an art book. You get a little bit of extra, but it was never anything big. You know what I mean? Like, never did I think it ever, like, justified the price tag for that shit. Seriously. It was, let's face it, it was profit. It was money making for those companies. All right. But there were some exceptions. I would say Skyrim was good and Fallout New Vegas stands out in my head. Those are two that I really liked over the years. Okay. Okay. Wingo tipped me $2 and literally used every kind of stereotypical thing about Wings of Redemption in their message. Thanks for the tip. I'm not reading any of that. The joke's on you. Okay, let's continue on. Hobo X asks the following. When you eventually get a new PC, what are your opinions on doing some emulation for playthroughs? And if you think that it's a legal gray area, what about only emulating for a system that possibly you already own the software for? For example, if you own a PlayStation 2 but you don't have a capture device for it, would you consider doing PS2 emulation because you already own that console and you can buy a physical game like Dragon Quest VIII off of eBay for cheap? Excuse me. Truthfully, I don't know much about this emulation you're talking about. The emulation I'm used to is like emulating a freaking SNES game on MAME or something, you know. I haven't done any major emulation of anything on a PC. I haven't messed with it. From what I'm going to understand, if you do emulation of anything like a PlayStation console, it actually eats up your memory quite a lot. But I guess, you know, I guess the legality of emulation, right, is that, now, correct me if I'm wrong, if you actually own the console and you own the game, you paid for the product, then you can emulate it. But only if you already own the rights to that product. You can't say buy the console, but then just download a ROM and play it on an emulator. You didn't buy the game. You didn't buy the license to the game. Correct? I don't know the legality of it. I don't. For me, emulation has always kind of been a gray area. There have been times when I've used it. There have been playthroughs in the past that I did SNES games and things on there because you couldn't actively get them on a Nintendo console for capturing or recording easily. And it was frustrating to me because I'll be honest with you, it's actually harder for me to play something emulated than it is on a console right now. My consoles are set up to my capture device. I can go, boop, record immediately. Just this Saturday, when we watch this Down the Rabbit Hole video, I'm going to be watching it on a console. Why? I can just record right from the app as if it's a game. I can commentate right over it. There's no problems. It's easy to do. Okay? PC is harder for me. All right? But, I can definitely see why there would be certain situations where it's needed. What if there's old games you just can't get? You can't find them. They're collector's editions, you know, like, or not collector's editions, but they're rare finds. You buy it on the internet, it's like a $500 disc. Fuck. That's ridiculous. And people want to experience that game just for prosperity, not prosperity, they just want to experience it as a part of art. It's not that you want to own the game and resell it for a ton of money. You just want to play the fucking game, right? What I would say is, what may be interesting about this is Sony is about to come out with this new PS Plus package where they're claiming they're going to offer, they're going to offer retro games digitally on their modern consoles, right? So now you don't need to go out and get the physical versions. You'll be able to have a legal way to pay for this subscription each month and get the old games. Maybe that's the avenue to go then. The problem is, let me put it this way, Hobo X, I can't say yes or no. Because I don't know. I don't know what really is out there for emulation. It hasn't really been a consideration for me because I haven't really been able to do it regardless. You're right. If I have a new PC and it's top of the line and it can handle that kind of shit, kind of opens up new avenues. At the same time, is that an avenue I want to go down? Or is it a legal issue? Now I got to worry about people reporting me for emulation and shit, right? I'm honestly not sure. I guess we'll have to see what happens. But if I want to play an old game, likely I'm either going to boot up my Xbox Series S, or I'm going to boot, my Xbox Series X, or my my PlayStation 5 and maybe pay for the month subscription and play the retro game on there. Okay? An anonymous tipper, to me $1.50, says, if the Wings thing pans out, react to the Gamer from Mars 4-part Chris Chan documentary. Okay? I really don't know anything about it. I really know nothing about this shit. I really don't. Like, I'm going to be the person who watches this stuff for the first time, and I'm like shocked because I don't know any of it. You guys know the memes. You guys know the stories. I don't know shit about shit. Okay, let's continue. Stealthy Koopo asked the following. How do you go about choosing a character to play in a new fighting game? Do you look for a character with good tools like anti-airs or reversals, good combo ability, good setups, a specific playstyle, or something else entirely? I don't spoil myself on fighting games or any games. I don't do any pre-done research. So when I'm booting up a fighting game for the first time, it's literally the first time. I'm not, oh, I did research and found out that there's this character that plays like a Shoto with footsies, but then there's this character that plays like this, and there's this. I don't do that. If I'm going to play a new fighting game, typically, it's a game that's a series that's existing. How many new fighting game franchises really come out that are successful these days? You really don't. You see your Tekkens, your Mortal Kombat / Injustices, your Street Fighters, right? You got these archetypes of fighting game IPs and series that have been out for a long time. So if I'm going to play, for example, Mortal Kombat 12 comes out. Well, I know all the characters from the old games. So I kind of know how they're going to play, and I kind of know what to expect. So I know, you know, Jax will probably have a projectile, a ground pound, and some kind of a grapple. I know that Sonya will probably have high combo ability and speed and good anti-airs and maybe mix-ups. While I know that, like, Shao Kahn will probably be a more lumbering super armor style character who does high damage but is very slow. You see, I kind of know those character archetypes from being around the block. But I don't do any prerequisite research when I play games. So I'm going into it mostly blind 99% of the time with just with that prerequisite knowledge of games that I played in the past. When I play a game, am I looking for a certain character archetype? Actually, no, it's the opposite. I like doing variety, right? I want to play a grappler, but I also want to play a zoner, but I also want to play a hybrid. I want to do these characters, see what's available, what is in the game, what's available to me. What are the tools that you can use in the game? I like variety of gameplay. I don't like picking one character and literally saying, that's the character I'll play for the rest of the game. I like seeing the variety the game has to offer. I do. In a fighting game, at least. So there you go. I hope that answers your question. I actually missed a shout out here. First of all, thank you guys. We hit 100 likes on the stream. I really appreciate that. That helps tons for visibility on YouTube and engagement purposes. So thank you so much for the likes today. Lore Spade, excuse me, actually did a super chat and said, I hate flimsy plastic toys that were made in China. I want some good quality collectibles that are made with good, durable materials. Yeah, and, you know, to some extent, as dumb as I feel that I was for spending the money that I did back in the day on collectibles, I did buy a bunch of very high-quality statues, and that was not junk. That stuff was very high-quality stuff, meant to last. And that's, you know what I mean? Like, if you're heavily into games and you want collectible, don't buy the collector's edition of the game that's $80 more to get a little plastic figure that was made in some factory, mass-produced, and breaks apart in 5 seconds and it's a piece of garbage. Go get an actual statue made by a designer, an artist, who made this thing and it's mass-produced, but it's made of very durable things. You know what I mean? Like, there's much better alternatives to nice collectibles than a piece of junk that comes with a collector's edition game. You know what I mean? Okay. Keep going. Slayer0804 asked a question. He says, I've been watching you play Elden Ring recently, and I noticed you always complain about camera controls and delayed inputs. You actually compared the game to Nioh, which you say has instant inputs. My question is, would it be better to change it to be like Nioh with instant inputs, or do you think it would be too much of a change from Software fans who are used to the input delay and prefer it to be much of the same? See, here's the thing. We're going to get into this heavily when I do my full review of Elden Ring, which is coming. Once I beat Elden Ring, I am going to do a full-fledged review of the game. Okay? I'll give you a preview of that answer because I don't want to totally answer it right now because this isn't really the review of Elden Ring yet. But From Software games have always had innate, pre-built, part of the game engine, input delay, you know, and it's come to be expected from the people who play the games, all right? It exists, okay? You press dodge, and you have to wait, and then the dodge comes out. Compare that to Nioh. The moment you press dodge, the dodge comes out. Or the moment you press parry, because remember, I did a whole spear build my first run in Nioh 1, the parry instantly parries the attacks. So you see an enemy attacking, parry. Oh, look at that. Instant counterattack. And I was one-shotting bosses in Neo 1, parrying everything with the spear. There was an entire boss, they never hit me once. Just parry, 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 beat them. Right? It's so hard to do that in any From Software game because they have this installed input delay. Okay? It's intentional at this point. You can argue the older games that FromSoft came out with, like Demon's Souls or Dark Souls 1, that they couldn't help it. Maybe it was the game engine. Maybe it was an outdated console or whatever. Today, there's literally no justification for saying, oh, it's because of this. There's no shortcoming. They could remove it if they wanted. They have made it an installed part of their gameplay. Okay? And at this point, these games have now been out for over a decade. People have played every version of FromSoft games. They're used to that input delay. Okay? If you play any FromSoft game a few times, you'll get used to it. And then it's not a problem anymore. The problem is your first playthrough. The first time you play any FromSoft game, and it's the first time you're seeing that attack animation, it's the first time you're trying to time something, it pisses you off because it doesn't come out when you press the button. Okay? But you do get used to it over time. There's going to be people who are longtime fans of From Software who are going to say it's just part of their games and get used to it and get good. There's also going to be a school of people who are going to be the opposite. Now, wait a minute. We're in 2022, and FromSoft tried so hard to convince us that Elden Ring was not Dark Souls, right? It's not. It's its own franchise. It's its own game. It's different. Okay, right? So, if they were going to make a whole new IP, wouldn't this have maybe been the time to say, we're dropping the input delay? Now we're going to change things up for the better. We want you to be able to react to things immediately when you press the button. This will allow for a different kind of gameplay experience than our previous games. And it would have. It absolutely would have. But, and again, I'm going to talk about this in more detail in my review. In a nutshell, take a look at Elden Ring's bosses. No exaggeration. Like 80% of them are large creatures with big lumbering swings that are extra delayed, and they have wind up, 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 and then finally they hit you, right? If the game actually had responsive controls, the bosses wouldn't all have to be like that. If the game had responsive controls, you could actually have bosses that were fast as shit because you can react to what they're doing. You could have a boss that's a little zippy guy. He's doing combos, and you could go dodge, dodge, parry, parry, dodge, dodge, parry, parry, parry. Now, by the way, I'm not saying that that doesn't exist in the game. I'm saying that's the exception to the rule. And those actual fast enemies and fast bosses are the more challenging things in the game because they're not giant broadcasted attacks that you can learn the timing for. You see? Again, I feel like if I go any further, I'll feel like I'm fully reviewing the game, which I don't want to do here. Okay? What I will say is thus. If you want my full educated opinion on Elden Ring, watch my full review that I'm going to do once I beat the game. Okay? I'm not done with it yet. We still, like I just said, on the pre-stream, we've probably got another 10 to 12, maybe 15 hours left. So several streams left before we actually wrap it up. Okay? But there's arguments either way. I see the argument either way. If something's always existed in a franchise and it's become a main part of the franchise, keep it in. That's what the fans want. But Elden Ring isn't Dark Souls. That's what they told us. Okay? We'll talk about that more when I review the game. Okay. Protusum Zone asks, Phil, I hope you're able to watch you until I'm in my 80s, but the truth of the matter is that we're all going to get old at some point. If you ever get too old or find streaming too difficult, would you ever consider, I don't like the word he used, he said grooming a successor. I think the word grooming has way too many negative associations, so I'm not going to agree with that word. Basically, he's saying, would you ever have a successor that you would like train or prepare to take over the mantle or at least assist you in your stream capacities? Thank you and keep on rocking. Okay. By the way, we're going to go on a break after I answer this question. So this is an interesting question because I feel like it's a two-sided question. The first side of the question is, would I ever have like an actual official successor who I would pass on my knowledge, maybe even my, let's face it, my YouTube channels, right? Would I pass that on to someone at some point to continue the work and the legacy that I have built 14 years and counting, right? Would I ever actually consider passing the mantle on at some point in some capacity? That's number one. I feel like the other half of that question is, would I just have someone to assist me with my streaming in the future, right? As I get older, all right? So, let's actually tackle the assist first. Right now, luckily, I'm able to kind of handle everything. I'll be honest with you guys, when I upgrade my equipment, hopefully later this year, that's when some problems might arise, because I haven't built a PC in a million years, and if I end up getting parts rather than a pre-built PC, that's going to be a rough one to get it to work, because I don't really know the ins and outs of doing that anymore. I don't know how much things have changed in the last 15, 20 years of PC building and shit like that, especially with the software aspect of it, okay? Another thing that I'm actually afraid of, I'll be honest, if I get a new PC, which I mean, I have to at some point, this thing's not going to last forever. I have to set up a new version of OBS, right? I can't use the legacy one I've been using for years. And I got to learn everything again. I got to learn how to do the setup of all the scenes. I got to learn how to position everything. I got to learn everything from scratch. I'm not kidding you when I tell you the setup I'm using is so old. And these templates have been in place for so long. I don't even know how easily I could set this up again. And I seriously doubt that they're going to let me import my shit from this old-ass version of OBS into a new one. I'm years removed. So I doubt they're going to let me say, oh, take those templates, just load it into the new one. I really doubt that's going to happen, okay? And then on top of that, you know, trying to learn things such as, you know, a green screen setup or a higher quality camera and how I'm going to do that. I have a Stream Deck that people bought for me years ago, and I can't use it because I'm using old Windows, but having new Windows, I can use a Stream Deck. I got to use that. So essentially, it's going to be a huge bout of learning for me. I'm okay with it. Now I'm 40, I can do it. But what happens another 10 years down the road, another 10 years down the road, if I keep doing this, I'm going to get older. It's going to get to the point where, like, you know, you like what you do, you're settled into your ways, and it's hard to learn new things, especially if technology changes a lot, which it very well might in the future. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of like, I know it's going to be a learning curve. It's going to be challenging. I know that. Will I need to eventually have someone help me with this shit? It's a possibility. I might have to have someone actually come in and assist me with this stuff. Now, hopefully I will be in a position where I can help to pay for that. You know, I'm not someone going to do it for free. I'd have to hire a professional to come and say, right now, you may be shocked to hear this, ladies and gentlemen, because they don't talk about it. Most people who do this for a living don't just do it like me. They're not one-man shows. Most people who do this for a living have an editor, have a tech person. They have people who behind the scenes do that shit for them, and they're just the talent who comes and sits down in front of the camera and plays the game and makes the entertainment, and they have other people they pay to handle that shit. I don't. I do everything. You know, I can't. I can't actually I can't afford to have professionals come in and do that shit for me. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. Maybe one day when I get older, maybe I'll be able to afford it. Someone who could be a more professional, help me with that. I don't know. Right now, the good news is I can handle it all, I feel. I think this year may be a big challenge when I upgrade my stuff to learn a new setup with OBS, to learn the ins and outs of a green screen, proper lighting, a new camera, all these new features that I'm looking to implement. All right? But as of now, yeah, you know, it's not even a consideration. All right? But maybe in the future, especially as I get older, I might just need it. It may be a necessity. Okay? Now, flipping by that. By the way, Carlos, how you doing? Good to see you here today. Having an actual successor, someone who's like chosen to carry on the mantle of Dark Side Phil or DSP Gaming, I wouldn't want to give anyone the name. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that would be pretty stupid to say, oh, now you are Dark Side Phil. You are DSP Gaming. No. There may be a time when, you know, I hang it up. And if that happens someday, I would hope that, you know, there will at least be some people out there who will remember me in a positive light. As many people who will be idiots and only think about the negative. I would hope that the things that I've done on the internet in the last 14 years, and of course to come, because I would like to do this as long as I can, that they will resonate with people and they'll think back on that legacy. And by the way, I would hope that the legacy would stay on the internet to be viewed for all time. Probably not. How long are they going to allow you to have free storage of your videos, right? But for now, that's how it works. And, you know, that being said, you know, one day it will all go away, I feel. And it is what it is. But would I ever have an official successor that I pass this on to? No. What I will have is a bunch of people who I inspired to do it themselves. And I already have that. Every day I hear people say, Phil, I was inspired by you to try this out, and I like it. Phil, you inspired me to actually go on and do this or that. I've gotten those messages before. Hell, SSOHPKC has personally said that to me, that they watched my content back in the day, and it inspired them to kind of persevere, make their own content, and they became successful. And that's just one example. There's many people over the years who said that to me. And it's not just big people who are ultimately successful. It's little people who just like doing it for a fun, for a hobby. And they saw how much fun I was doing it, and said, hey, let's do it. Let's just have a good time. And they turn it on, and they're like, who cares if I get 5 people on my stream or 5,000? As long as I'm having a good time. That's what Phil does, you know? And I'm happy about that. I feel like there will be a large chunk of people out there who at one point will say, I watched something Phil did, and it kind of inspired me to maybe do some other stuff for myself online. That's how it happened for me. That's actually how it happened for me. I, back in the day, became a fan of the Angry Video Game Nerd. I watched him making these silly videos that had very low production value. You could tell the guy had no budget, but he had talent. He had good writing, good delivery, and had passion for the stuff that he was talking about in his videos. And it came through, even though he was filming it in a dark, dingy room in his house with no good lighting, obviously no actors or anything to be in it. He was just fucking around. Those videos inspired me. I said, man, if he can do it, I can show that I have passion for games too. Now, it's not going to be like his passion. I'm not a filmmaker. He is. He can make films that look great. I can't do that. I don't have any directorial knowledge or anything like that. But I love video games, and I have a sense of humor, and people tend to tell me that they like my sense of humor when it comes through, and when I'm at a gaming tournament or just hanging out with friends or the like. And, you know, they basically like this, and they want to see, maybe I wanted to see if I could make it happen. And I did. I was inspired by seeing someone like the Angry Video Game Nerd be popular on the internet. Said maybe I could do it with no budget, little to no talent or know-how, but just throw myself at YouTube and see what happens. And it worked. As crazy as a wild, oddball situation it was, it actually worked. Okay? So, for every one of me that there is, right, I was inspired by AVGN. I'm sure there's people who watched me and were inspired by me, and then there's people who watched the people who were inspired by me and were inspired. It goes on and on. That's how life works, right? And I don't think that I need to name a successor. I think that one day I will hang up the mantle. I'll take this hat off for the last time, and I'll say I'm officially retiring from content creation. This is the last time you'll see me wear this hat ever. I'm done. I thank you all for an amazing life journey. You know, being able to do what I love for a living and share that with all of you for so many years. And I'll probably cry live on stream because it'll be so meaningful to me, what you guys gave me, the legacy you gave me, and the fun years you gave me as a content creator. And I'll miss it, you know. But that's life. Things all end. All good things come to an end, right? We don't need to have Phil V2. We don't need to have DSP Gaming go on forever. One day, we can say, it's time to go. But luckily, that's not today. Not even close. We got lots of good stuff coming, man. Lots of good stuff coming in the future, and I'm very excited for it, okay? All right, now you made me tear up. because I felt it was a very meaningful moment there. And now I'm going to call me a sissy. You're going to make fun of me. Hold on. Let me start talking about rage quitting Kirby again. That'll piss me off again, and then I'll stop being so emotional. There you go. Fuckers. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our first break of Ask the King. All right. Let's take a break. All right. If you're watching live on stream, this will be like a 5-10 minute break. It'll be a short one. It's not going to be a lengthy break or anything like that. Okay. If you're watching on demand on YouTube on DSP Gaming, this is part 1. There will be more parts to follow, and I hope that you will watch the other parts. All right. Sounds good, I hope, for you guys. I'll be back shortly. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a few.